Yo, what's good? Marsh4ll here, and wow, it is, what is it? Freaking January 18th, which means, good God, is the time going by really fast. Sorry about this, I'm changing my light settings here. Alright, so today, I saw a few videos while I was at work, titled, I almost thought this GPU was a good deal, and, tech prices are rising. Both from, LMG clips featuring, Linus Tech and, Luke. Sorry, I'm a little tired, but I promise I came with some pretty good content. This seems like it's couldn't be more relevant, and he couldn't have been talking about this at a better time, as usual. Hey, before we get into the video, click the sub button, drop me a comment with what you think about tech prices rising, or if what he's about to talk about, this, what, 3080 he's about to buy. I don't even know what he's about to buy. I think this might be clickbait, but we'll see. And also, real quick, let me remind you that Prime Gaming exists. Literally, if you Google Prime Gaming, first thing that pops up is gaming.amazon.com. If you go there and you have Amazon Prime, click over to the Games tab, do yourself a favor and claim all of these games for the month of January. You will not be disappointed, okay? I've already finished Paper Beast. As you can see, I've claimed all of them. I've already finished Paper Beast, and I'm starting to play Fahrenheit. I'll play a little bit more of that today, and be posting another video tomorrow. I did chat like 3 chapters yesterday, and that's already on my channel, so go check that out. After Fahrenheit, we're going to be playing Jedi Fallen Order, so yeah, man, go grab yours before the next month. Anyway, I almost thought this GPU was a good deal. What do you got for us, Linus?
Purdue
Alright, so look,
University
it's
Global.
I hate
There's
ads.
no limit to
Give
what you can
this 1
achieve.
second
And
here.
now there's no limit to
Sorry.
how. A public
And there's
online
2 of
university
them.
for
So
working adults
listen,
that's
if you're
within
watching
your
this, just
reach.
another
Your body's only healthy when
like
your hormones are
2 1
balanced, and that's what
second. Boom.
and say that's a great deal. But I mean, what did let's go back. Let's go, Luke.
oh, so exciting.
Were you thinking, you know what I need? Nvidia has dropped a new 12 gig 3080. Luke,
Oh, so exciting.
A new
were you
12
thinking,
gig 3080.
you know what I need? A GA102 GPU that costs
Wow.
more.
Yes. Yep. Yes.
Is that what you're after?
and that is better for mining.
And that's okay. I wasn't even gonna go there yet, but
we can get into it.
And see, it's so crazy because look at his, like, I don't think I've ever noticed this before. Well, I'm pretty sure he's like been there. But look, the green screen is crazy. It's so funny. But yeah, I mean, he's not wrong. Literally, you got 12 gigs of VRAM for freaking mining. Are you kidding me? And they just dropped this?
Ports 8,960 CUDA cores over the 8,704 cored 10 gigabyte variant, plus 256 just in case, as well as 20% more cumulative bandwidth than the 10 gigabyte variant of the 3080 due to a 384-bit memory bus. There's a clock speed bump too. Base clock is up 180 megahertz, and boost clock nudge is up 40 megahertz. That's actually like pretty substantial on the base.
Yeah, so no lie, like no lie. This is definitely a heavy duty piece of equipment. This is definitely a high profile GPU. Obviously, I mean, it's an RTX, but at the same time, 12 gigs, I can't even quantify right now how much this thing could cost, especially on the black market.
Base clock, yeah, the note says that too.
yeah, but these cards almost never run at base clock unless you're like suffocating them. So
Yeah.
there's that.
That's fair.
True.
Yeah.
Gotta
Base
like
clock improves by
freaking
14%, but boost clock is only up 2%. Blah, blah,
super
blah.
throttle.
it's funky. It's weird. This 12GB RTX 3080 arrives just days after the company announced a new RTX 3090 Ti.
Yeah, which is what we, well, him and Luke were also talking about, I think last week or the week before, at CES, which is CES 2022. I'm pretty sure they dropped that at, and they're they were hung up because they actually, Nvidia, I don't know if you knew this, and let me know in the comments. Did you know Nvidia pronounces it, the official pronunciation for the graphics card is actually T, so it'd be 3090 T, or Ti, I think it's Ti. Yeah, I think it's Ti. Either way, it's freaking ridiculous.
With fast.
And they were talking about like how it's no other element on the periodic table is pronounced the way they're spelled per abbreviation, but whatever, Nvidia. And then they were talking about like how it could be like copyright infringement if they were to use Ti, because some brands still use Ti. The main one was Texas Instruments that I remember, so it's pretty interesting. I haven't really looked into it. Texas Instruments calculators, that is. Yeah, I haven't really looked into it, but hey, it sounds like it could be believable.
Memory and better performance. And oh, this hurts to say, because the really high-end cards being really expensive is one thing, but a RTX 3050 for $249.
Okay. Wait.
Rough. The 12.
So he's saying $250 you can get yourself an RTX 3050?
12 gig 3080 pricing will be determined largely by board partners. EVGA has priced its own RTX 3080 12 gig at $1,249. Own RTX 3080 12 gig at $1,249.
EVGA. Okay, so does it have the same specs? Again, I haven't looked into that. That'd be something to look into.
But they're potentially not even going to be showing up in North America. We have a weird note about that. I'm not certain if that is for that specific brand or if that's for all of them in general.
No, we know why.
But it doesn't matter because you're probably not going to get them anyways. Nice.
Yeah, there's no way.
So you know what's really funny is I was going to contradict you there, and I realized that you're not the one who's crazy. I'm the one who's crazy.
I waved to her to say bye.
You were going through the cards that Nvidia released recently, going, oh, well, there's the 3090 Ti, and there's the RTX 3050 for $250.
I got her to play some
you
stupid farm game. And also, hold up, we're gonna rewind this. First of all, she's playing Sims right now and is making out with some other girl, and then before that, she was making out with some guy, all while supposed to be in a relationship with me, and I'm on the phone with tech support. Does that make sense? Make it make sense, Steven. All right, let's see what
I'm the one who's crazy. You were going through the cards that Nvidia released recently, going, oh, well, there's the 3090 Ti, and there's the RTX 3050 for $250, and you were outraged. And I was about to jump in and say, that's a great deal.
Wait, hold up. They're not lying. There's an RTX, they got 3050s on StockX right now. Wow. For $250 and below. The highest one I see is for $420. I think that just might be like as a joke, but that's crazy. I didn't even know that.
But I mean, what did let's go back. Let's go back a couple of generations. Like, what did a GTX 950 cost?
Yeah.
I'm going to look this up because I don't remember. The GTX 950 launched in 2015 at $159.
Wow.
You're not crazy. I'm crazy. Nvidia has managed to take that tier of product and increase the MSRP, which, by the way, is not necessarily representative of the price you will actually pay, by, hold on a second. Oh, bloody hell, I don't know how to use a calculator. So 249 over 159 they've managed to increase the price by 50 to 60%. And by the time you factor in, your super clocks and KO, and you know, all your different variants of the card, you could easily be paying nearly double for the same tier of card that just, 7 short years ago was available for, $150. Something that that as a kid in high school, you could conceivably work a side hustle and save up for in some reasonable.
Or honestly, just like literally ask your parents. That's what I probably would have done if I was into computer gaming. I literally would. This probably would be like the most inexpensive piece of technology that I would have bought, and I should have done that. I wish I was into computer gaming way earlier on instead of just sticking with console gaming.
Amount of time and get your game on. You know what I mean? Now, obviously, it's going to be a lot.
I say that to say this, basically, bruh. How are these not being snatched up right now? Their 3050s literally for like the highest is $420, right? And that's on StockX. The lowest I saw was like $99.
It's going to be a lot faster than that card. Technology's come a long way in the last 7 years. So I'm not saying, hey, you should go buy a GTX 950 or anything like that.
No.
I'm just saying that we've clearly been conditioned to accept that.
Yeah.
I mean, $250. Holy.
$250 for a sub 60 graphics card. That's my thing.
Holy crap.
That's nuts.
I don't remember how much the 8800 GT cost when it launched.
And that's the thing.
I think around $300.
No, I think it was less, Luke. I think that Nvidia, after they launched it and realized, holy crap, we just completely irrelevanted our entire rest of our product line. I think they increased it. Yeah, the 512 meg version, the higher end version, was $250. So going back 10 years prior, $250 bought you from Nvidia a flagship killer card.
Probably the MSRP.
And nowadays, $250 buys you literally the lowest tier GeForce card in their entire current lineup that they begrudgingly, over a year later, finally brought out to get more volume of cards into the hands of gamers instead of focusing on their higher margin, higher MSRP cards. That's crazy. Okay, Snap 725 says, all caps, inflation. And that's a fair point. Let's head to a US inflation calculator. Okay, so let's have a look here, right? The thing is, though, inflation's a funny thing because inflation for housing, for example, is a really different number from inflation for food, from inflation for tech. I mean, if you were to look at something like TVs, or actually even personal computers as a whole, I was looking at I was looking at a flyer from London Drugs from like 1995, right? Okay, so this is back in the Pentium era, right? And to buy a fully equipped desktop setup was like $4 or $5 grand.
Jesus Christ.
And that was just what a computer cost, because
non-gaming home computers, $4 or $5 grand, yeah.
Having a personal computer was absolutely not a given. So according to the inflation calculator, that 8800 GT, your flagship killer step-down card that comes a little bit later, should cost you $336. What kind of modern GPU can you buy for $336? And the other thing to consider is that in some areas of tech, we've actually got more of an opposite inflation thing going on. I mean, how much did a 42-inch TV cost 20 years ago? Riddle me that. What's a 42-inch TV cost today?
Yeah.
A fraction. So if anything, it should be possible for technology to buck that trend. I mean, even Intel, who's not exactly known for giving consumers a deal just out of the goodness of their hearts. You go back to something like, the Pentium 4, back when I first got into enthusiast computing.
Being a part of their Retail Edge program, I would say otherwise, just because I've gotten a lot of stuff from them for a really good price. One of them being this mouse pad. So yeah, there's that. By Corsair, by the way. But yeah, I mean, he's kind of right. You know, I've never really seen actually, and that's another again being part of their Retail Edge program still. But back then when I was active member, I got my processor $200 cheaper because of that. So I mean, there are some perks, but I mean, the average consumer wouldn't have had access to it, I don't think. So, but if you were lucky enough to know somebody who worked at Best Buy, I guess it doesn't matter. You would have been set off.
Um, you know, you could get a Pentium 4 Northwood, like, so this is like a, what is it, Northwood's Pentium 4C, I guess, was the last generation of P4 before AMD made it completely irrelevant with the F164. So that would have been in like 2004, 2005. It was like $500 for an entry-level P4. And Intel, all these years later, it's still like $500 for an entry-level, like Core i7. I mean, an entry-level enthusiast chip. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, I think it's possible to buck this trend. But I mean, hey, why do that when you don't have to, right? Like,
yeah.
If I'm Nvidia, the corporation,
if I'm Nvidia, the corporation, I would continue to put out. I don't even know. I would start putting out more propaganda about there being a chipset shortage, and just, you know, continue making as many whatever GPUs as I can, even if there even was a chipset shortage, release as few as I can, even knowing that the majority of them are going to end up on the black market. And then when people really, really are wanting them, let them know, hey, the floodgates are open. We got all these graphics cards. But little does the, again, average consumer know, Nvidia's been holding these for however long. I know that's not what he's going to say, but that's what I think as a conspiracy theorist enthusiast.
I'm doing a great job right now finding ways to condition my users and really the entire market to think that this is what gaming should cost.
See, I wasn't far off. I was not far off. I actually wasn't far off from what he just said. So you can find that on LMG Clips. It's called I Almost Thought This GPU Was a Good Deal. Linus Tech and Luke on here. Let's go to the next one.
NVIDIA gave me the opportunity to really leverage
this
what
next
it
one
means
is
to
called
establish a mission.
Tech Prices Are Rising. Again from LMG Clips featuring Luke and Linus Tech. No clue what this could be about, but I do know that he's probably going to bring up some interesting points.
I remember before I was into computers, I was pretty young. I was looking into buying my first computer for myself.
Yeah.
I had worked a summer job in a pizzeria because I was like 13. Like this was pretty early. It's the first time I was ever looking into computer components. I was trying to talk to a lot of my friends about it, like my brother's friends, because they were older and more experienced with computer stuff, because I hadn't really discovered internet computer forums yet and whatnot. And one person told me a decent rule of thumb would be for your somewhat important components, and to remember, I had like no money. For your somewhat important components, spend about $100 each.
Sure.
And I roughly followed that for my first. I ended up shifting things around because I ended up finding forums and stuff. But that was actually not a bad rule to get a working, usable gaming computer at that time.
Completely agree.
That's extreme. That's so nuts now. Like I
completely agree.
It's kind of sad.
JR.
I mean, as far as it being nuts, he's right. I mean, you can't really find too many computer parts, ancillary or not, for less than $100. But your peripherals, at least, You know, the extra stuff, if not for free, then freaking not dirt cheap, but like as cheap as you can get it for while being still really good quality. Like, I hate to freaking just say stuff, but a Corsair, they have a nice metal keyboard that's mixed with also hard plastic for your armrests. Durable mouse. I've had it since I started for a whole year. Still held up. A Logitech camera. I think it's it has to have come down by now, but it does 1080 and 30 frames. And I have a desk pad as well. All of this was probably, I want to say $300. I want to say $300. Actually, yeah, I want to say $300. The mouse pad was actually free though, so I still want to say like $300, and that's including tax. So peripherals, sure. Computer parts, I want to say maybe 200, if not 175. You should limit yourself to, unless you have the money to go higher.
6955 says, hey, despite the rising costs over the last years, Xboxes and PlayStations still cost the same. Now, that's a little misleading because Nvidia, unlike Microsoft and Sony, doesn't get to continue to make money on you after you own the product.
Right.
Not to the same degree. I mean, I don't know what they're doing with everyone logging into GeForce Experience necessarily. There might be ways for them to monetize that data. I legitimately have no idea. I'm not accusing them of anything. I just don't know. But compared to what Microsoft and Sony are able to get in terms of
signed up in some
residuals
beta programs,
through game sales, or, and with Microsoft so focused on Game Pass, monthly subscriptions, it just doesn't even begin to touch it. There's a reason that Sony and Microsoft are just trying to shift boxes rather than worrying about making money on them. But that was always true, right? Especially for Sony, who hasn't shaken up the business model to nearly the same degree that Microsoft has. So, yeah, what is up with that? Right?
Yeah. Jaden mentions that phones have been creeping ever upwards as well.
And the thing is, you know, whoever said that was absolutely right. And Linus is right to agree with him on that because, bro, like, they are literally just focused on moving the boxes, right? Like making the PS5 so that we can buy it and enjoy it, because they're going to be making money on the PlayStation Network where we have to buy a subscription to just play online. So they're not really too worried about selling their product like super high because it's a given. People are going to buy it. Same thing with Xbox, right? But with a graphics card, after you buy it, you don't really continue paying the company, right? Or you don't pay the company at all, and that's what he's saying. I mean, with GeForce Experience, you don't have to sign in. I think you do actually have to sign in, but you still have to give data, and maybe they can monetize that data somehow by selling it to somebody else, maybe for for ad tracking, right? But for the most part, after you buy that GPU, that's where the money train ends from the consumer to the corporation. And that's why they don't release a whole bunch of GPUs. They only release a little bit because they know they have to know, and they do know that scalpers are gonna buy them, sell them on the black market for X amount freaking more, because freaking some bit miner is gonna be able to buy it and then make X amount more in profit plus their money back on what they spent it anyway, leaving the people who Nvidia is marketing their product to literally just giving us, I guess, a dream to think about. Wow, I wish I could use this. Too bad. Sucks.
Oh yeah, remember when the OnePlus One launched? What did the OnePlus One cost? Like $200?
A lot cheaper than they are now. It's getting to the point where, like, it's really rough.
$299.
Because, like,
$299.
a lot of these phones, by the time you're a year and a half to 2 years into them, the battery is starting to feel really bad.
Yeah.
There's probably a lot of other very noticeable issues and stuff like that, and it's rough to replace a phone that's like $1,000 or more when it only lasts like a year and a half to 2 years.
And the same thing with phones, right? I mean, the majority of people pay for cloud-based products, right? Samsung has a cloud. Microsoft has a cloud, OneDrive. Samsung has a cloud, like I said. And Apple has a cloud, right? So even after you buy the phone, it's like the money train doesn't stop there. And it sucks because Luke is right. Phones break down, they cost just as much as a game station. I hate saying that. I sound like a old person. A Xbox or a PlayStation 5, right? It costs literally just as much, if not more in most cases. But it breaks down so much faster. It degrades so much faster. Is that because it's a mobile device and it's literally always in your pocket, on the go? It's, you know, exposed to the elements more, whatever the case may be, right? But I've had my Xbox for literally, I want to say 5 to 7 years, and it hasn't given me one problem.
In a good state. Yes, you can obviously use it for longer than that.
Yeah, I think that's something I'd really like the lab to spend some time on, because there are a lot of budget phones out there. Like, on the one hand, yes, phones have gotten crazy expensive. It costs like $1,400 US for a flagship now. That wasn't a thing not that long ago. You could get a flagship iPhone for $700 not that many years ago.
Yeah.
When the first phone cracked that $1,000 barrier, everyone went, oh. And then they just marched right through it.
Yeah.
I mean, Samsung has a phone for $2,000 now.
Yeah.
Z Fold 3, right?
Yeah.
But on the flip side of that, phone.
It was like, he's right. Literally, not that long ago, I think, like I said, a flagship phone, $799. And then once it broke that $1,000 threshold for a mobile device, people were like super shocked. But then it was like, once they started, I don't even know, once they started seeing people with it, it was like, all right, well, I guess this is what we're doing because we have no other option other than to buy it. You know, what else do we have if we want to get a better device? Switch to Android? I'm not going to green bubbles, right? So that's crazy.
Phones have also gotten cheaper than ever. You can get a full-on smartphone with, you know, like a big touchscreen and everything for like $100
just for being a name,
and
just for having a few features.
Contract. I mean, that would have been insane too, 6-7 years ago. So there's been this split, and one of the things that I would like the lab to do is figure out which of those value phones are actually not awful, so that we can have solid recommendations to give people. I mean, one of the big challenges with phones too is that unless the carriers are aggressively monetizing your data, like Nvidia, they are in a position where the modern business world is expecting companies to have recurring revenue from their customers. I mean, look what's happened to Adobe's stock ever since they launched Creative Cloud, right? Compared to when they used to sell you a discrete perpetual license for each new version of the software. Shareholders love recurring revenue, and that's why Nvidia is trying to build out stuff like the cloud gaming service, because that way they can continue to sell you the same GPU over and over and over and over and over again. Sure, it's at a lower price, but over and over and over and over again. So if you want to sell things that the customer ultimately actually owns, like a phone from a carrier from a brand that doesn't benefit on the back end, like Apple does through the App Store or Google does through the Play Store, then you do kind of have to keep driving up prices, because you look at the profitability of Android phones and how much consolidation there's been in that market. It's clearly they're not making that much money.
Nah.
Right? Like, that's the really scary thing, is how many dead bodies litter the path that we have ultimately found ourselves on. Yes, the prices have gone like this, but in spite of that, so many competitors have just died off along the way. Most recently, and speaking of like prominent ones, LG just abandoned it. They're like, forget it, we can't do this.
Oh.
I think that was a pretty
didn't know
intense
that.
market share percentage thing, though. LG phones were such a small subsection of the market.
Absolutely, but you would
They
think
were.
if there's enough margin in the
That's
product, they
crazy.
could buy some market share, get
Right.
aggressive
I
on
still have
pricing.
an LG phone.
But
I
clearly,
think
there's not
people-
enough margin.
5G
Traditionally,
LG phone.
I don't know, pricing's a really interesting thing,
Somewhere.
and I
I
think
think it's
pricing
still
for
at my
phones
house, my old
especially is a
house.
really interesting thing, because I think people will go into a store and they'll look at an iPhone and they'll see the pricing of the iPhone, and they'll look at the Android phones, and the ones that aren't priced near the price of the iPhone, I think a lot of market research is not done, and they just assume they're really bad. Unless it's priced like the iPhone, it's probably garbage. I know people that have shopped that way with phones.
There's
so.
no doubt in my mind that Apple absolutely creates a perception of value in every market segment they move into. I mean,
Yeah.
you look at the way that people looked at headphones, right? Like 10 years ago, 15
Oh, it just went live on Twitch. I keep forgetting to do that before I start doing these, just in case. You know, you never know. But what was he saying?
People that have shopped that way with phones.
There's
so.
no doubt in my mind that Apple absolutely creates a perception of value in every market segment they move into. I mean,
Yeah.
you look at the way that people looked at headphones, right? Like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, outside of the audiophile community, the idea of spending $300, $400, $500 on headphones, it's crazy.
Insane.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
People just used whatever earbuds came with their Walkman. Like
SEO.
that was the norm.
Yeah.
You'd
it was.
like or with their iPod, right? Like
Colby
they just used
headphones.
Yeah.
whatever. Like it was iconic.
Literally.
People were just walking around with their white $14.99 Apple earphones. That was it. Apple comes in, they go, hey, over-the-ear headphones. Well, actually, Beats changed the game really before Apple did, but Apple has taken it up another level.
Beats
Apple
is now
comes in, they
owned
say,
by
hey,
Apple
look,
anyway.
earbuds are now worth $150 or $250 in the
And
case
they're
of the AirPods
wireless.
Pros. Over-the-ear wireless earphones, they are now worth, what is it, $549 or
500.
something for the
Yeah,
AirPods
$550,
Max?
the
I
AirPod
can't
Max.
remember the pricing in US
Those things
dollars.
are crazy. I've tried them on. They're
Filthy
not
Canadian.
that cool.
But the point
They're
is
literally
that
not that
Apple
great.
walks into a category,
I've tried them.
declares it now to be
I have a video
worth
of it
spending
on
a
my
ton of money
TikTok,
for.
actually.
They normalize that, and then everyone else ultimately reaps the benefit, other than consumers. Their competitors reap the benefit, which I've always found to just be a fascinating pattern, because there's no reason that someone other than Apple couldn't do this. I mean, remember back, again, this is probably back about 10 years ago, when so many laptops had gross TN panel screens, right? Just awful. IPS displays freaking existed,
Yeah.
but it wasn't
People
until
accepted it for laptops at that time.
they were TN and they were low resolution. It was
Yeah.
normal to find a 1366 by 768 15-inch laptop display, and it looked atrocious. And all it took was for Apple to come in and say, Retina, create a value to high-resolution displays that you can't make out, every single pixel this big.
Right.
And all of a sudden, everyone else goes, "Oh, okay, I guess it's time. I guess people will like this." Well, no, you should have known people would like it before Apple told them to like it, and you should have gone and been the trailblazer. But I say that, and then you look at a company like, who were those guys that made the first true wireless earphones? Help me out. It was a Kickstarter.
It wasn't Skull Candy, was it? Skull Candy. No. I know who it's. We all know who it's going to be when he said this.
We did a video about
But I
them. The
can't
Dash,
think of it
Braggy the Dash. How'd that work out for them? Do they still exist?
Never thought that actually. So.
Braggy. Oh, that's a
Maybe I was
Wikipedia
wrong.
article for some
definitely wrong.
Norse skaldic
Maybe I was wrong about a lot
god
of
of
people.
poetry or something. Braggy, the platform that something. What is happening here? Pull with your beautiful. I have normally be a buy button. There is now a let's talk button. Whatever whatever
That's concerning.
that means.
Let's talk.
Solutions ecosystem? I don't even understand what they do. Okay, so they're like a consulting firm where it's part of Create. I have no freaking idea what the company actually does.
Yeah.
I just can't. I don't know what to do with it. Like, no, I'm not gonna send you an email. Like, how Aspway? Yeah, so being the first mover, hey, not necessarily a huge advantage in the rapidly moving space of consumer electronics.
So yeah, there's that. Bruh. Can we go somewhere with that? Give me one sec here. Alright, so that was that. Fun stuff. Super fun stuff. I'm gonna do another video inside the deadly world of counterfeit vape cartridges next after this. I'm gonna drop this tomorrow too, so watch it.